Hello, reading friends. I'm coming to you from my library. Here it is. This is where I come to get so many books, and I'm here today with a book for you. It's called The Library Fish. And as I was looking for books through the library today, this one caught my eye because this library has fish. It has library fish. Okay, this book is written by Alyssa, Satin, Capucilli. I might not say that quite right. The Library Fish. Once there was a fish. She was not an ordinary fish. She did not live in the sea or the ocean. She did not live in a river or a lake. In fact, when Mr. Hughes, the librarian, found her, he said, "I'm not quite sure where you came from, but if you love stories, you've come to the right place. Some libraries have their lions, but this library will have a fish." Perfect. I'm going to read the little tag on the fish tank. It says, I'm going to try with my old lady eyes. Care and feeding of goldfish. Change water every day. Feed 2 to 3 times a fish. Read to fish daily. Loves stories. Perfect for a library fish, or maybe for a classroom fish. Hard as it might be to believe, Mr. Hughes was sure the fish wiggled her tail. She may have even smiled. From that day on, she was known as Library Fish. She made her home on the desk of Mr. Hughes. It was the perfect place to welcome all the visitors to the library. From where she sat, Library Fish could check each book that was borrowed and returned. Look at the little eye through the tank. Yeah, she might be a smiling fish. Library Fish quickly grew to love story time. Mr. Hughes read story that made her laugh out loud. He read poems that filled her with wonder. Mr. Hughes read a bold voice. He read in a whisper. Library Fish met characters who were brave and kind, while others were daring, shy, or inventive. Library Fish learned about distant planets that she might visit one day. Can you imagine a fish going to visit different planets? That would be another book. Of course, Library Fish enjoyed an outing too. She loved days spent on the bookmobile. Winding through the busy streets, Library Fish could feel the excitement of the crowd awaiting for their arrival. Mr. Hughes made sure everyone found just the right book. He always chose something wonderful to read aloud too. Hard as it might be to believe, Library Fish was certain the bookmobile enjoyed a good story as much as she did. She could feel his engine rumble with joy. Here's what all the people are saying. I want an adventure. Any books about puppies? Poetry, please. I need a long book for the road. What's the latest Wizzy Wizard series? Libros en español, por favor. I think meerkats are cool. Are there any new graphic novels? I'm just learning to read. There's all the visitors to the bookmobile. You ever seen a bookmobile? My library doesn't have a bookmobile, but I'm familiar with them. They're like a library on wheels. One morning, Library Fish awoke bright and early. She waited for Mr. Hughes to arrive with his usual, "Good morning, Library Fish." She waited and waited, but the library doors remained closed. Where could Mr. Hughes be? Library Fish looked out over the shelves. Every book sat patiently in its place. She looked out over at the long windows. Could it be? There, for as far as she could see, was snow. Thick snow, falling faster and harder than Library Fish had ever seen before. It reminded her of a story Mr. Hughes read, where snow fell so high and wide, it made city streets come to a stop. Could the snow make the library come to a stop too? Growing up where I grew up and where I live now, I can imagine that could happen. Library Fish swam around her bowl. She hummed a tune. She did some fancy spins. The snow kept falling, and the library grew quieter and quieter. There was only one thing to do. The library may be closed on the outside, said Library Fish, but it's always open on the inside. There's a story waiting for me. I just have to find it. Library Fish jumped and leaped and wiggled. She didn't get far at all. "Humph," she said. What frustration for a little fish. Library Fish remembered the story of the magical beanstalk. She reached and stretched. She climbed to the tip-top of her bowl until she slid down with a plop. "Ah," she sighed. "Maybe I can fly up, up, and away like a superhero." The thing was, she didn't have a cape. Library Fish looked out of her bowl. The moon peeked through the snowfall. "That's it," said the library fish. "If a rocket ship can soar to the moon, then maybe I can." Dun, da, da, da. And with one big splash, library fish landed safely at the foot of a towering stack of books. Filled with all the possibility of a great story, she set off at once. Library fish looked out at the book cart. Some of the books were too high to reach. Some were too heavy. Library fish went up and down the aisles. She passed shelf after shelf until she found just what she was looking for. What do you predict she was looking for? I can't imagine. Good ideas. There it was, in the storytime corner. There were plenty of books ready for reading. Library fish settled into a comfortable, cozy spot. She opened the cover after cover. She turned page after page. She pored over wonderful illustrations, and before long, something extraordinary happened. Library fish was just about to reach up for one more story when she heard it. First a beep, then a honk, and then a vroom vroom. "Why didn't I think of this sooner?" Library fish said with a giggle. "I'm not the only one around here who loves a good story." Who else loves a good story? Library fish chose some of her favorite books, and although it had already been a night filled with adventures, she was sure there was room for a few more. Library fish read in a bold voice. She read in a whisper. She read until she laughed out loud. She read until she felt the bookmobile's engine rumble with joy, and before long, something extraordinary happened again. Oh, look, Library fish is showing the book to the bookmobile. What do you think the next extraordinary thing is? I wasn't expecting that. Look at the adventures they're on now. Awesome. When the first rays of sun began to shine, the very tired library fish climbed back into her bowl. She dreamed wonderful dreams until... "Good morning, library fish," said Mr. Hughes. "Are you ready to welcome our visitors?" She was ready indeed. Library fish smiled. She wiggled her tail. Hard as it might be to believe, Mr. Hughes was sure library fish yawned too. I can imagine that library fish is pretty tired. "Hello, library fish. I missed you, library fish." Aw, what good helpers. Get the last picture there. Mr. Hughes looks a little bit confused about, well, the books are out. I think the bookmobile's tired too. Hope you enjoyed library fish. Does your library have fish or other critters? Tell me about it. And I hope that you have a great day reading and maybe visiting your local library. Thanks for coming to listen to a story. See you soon.